a lot of things are happening that you never thought would happen are happening. But before we get into that, man, let's just hit with our first icebreaker question of the show. Last night, obviously, after every WWE presser, there's always people who ask questions, and someone that I've seen, I got a chance to meet at last year's job of saying Malcolm Muscle Man Malcolm, asked The Rock, whatchamacallit, a question based off his Waffle House order. And obviously, people that we know, like Sir Wilkins from the Job Materials podcast, answered a few questions. Krista B from Those Wrestling Girls, Queen Stephanie Hardy also asked a question as well.
All amazing people.
A lot of amazing people that we know personally got a chance to be at these pressers. So I'm just, putting the ball in your court, E. If you were at a WWE presser, doesn't matter which wrestler, if it was Triple H or, the wrestlers that performed that night, if there was a question that you had to ask at a WWE presser, what would it be?
Well, I think I got two questions that came to mind when I saw the presser. The first one would be to Triple H, being that he's been around for so long and he's seen the ins and outs of all of the big moments in wrestling. Where does he compare what he saw and how the show ended last night to maybe as my name is today, to the Hogan turn or another famous turn, or the Roman Reigns turn? Where does this rank for him, and how big of a shift is this in this industry? Because it's obviously a monumental shift. It's going to be something that we're going to talk about for years, probably for the rest of our lives. One thing we talk about a lot is, we know where we were when Michael Jackson passed away. We know where we were when 9/11 happened. Now it's going to be, where were you when John Cena turned heel? That's going to be something that lives in infamy. The next thing I would ask, pertaining to, and I think it got asked last night, but pertaining to the city of Toronto, is there a chance of seeing more PLEs in Toronto? Is there a chance of seeing maybe a WrestleMania in Canada? Things of that nature. So I think that was asked last night, but for sure, those two for sure. Yep, you're muted.
Damn, I keep taking your gimmick. Hey, GC, what's good, dog? Man, I haven't seen you on the chat quite some time. Ask your question, dog. One question I would ask, one to Trips and one to Rock. I would ask Rock, based off of him, is it mostly purely a business question? Since becoming the final boss, has being part of the board, does it feel like a full circle moment for him, considering how he's been in the business for some time, from his grandparents, running, their own promotion, working under Vince Sr. and Vince Jr., and now for him to be a wrestler and now, of course, part of the board. How much of that, it being in full circle for him, especially with his daughter being a GM in NXT. And for Trips, I would ask, basically, what would you say about the critics that basically, that were very critical of your booking style in terms of, over the last couple of weeks or months? How would you respond back to those critics in terms of like, all right, this is what he showed last night? Because clearly this was a all right, yeah, should have just let me cook the entire time. It was gonna happen, something like that, something along the lines of that, But those would be questions I definitely would ask. But that's a good question though. Oh, GC says, can I get my flowers for calling out the Cena heel turn and Naomi being the one? Because I've been calling those in the chat for a few weeks now.
You have? Okay, so one, I don't know about the Cena one.
No, he did.
Okay. I don't know.
Because he agreed with you when you pulled it up. You went the last time he was on the show.
So yes, and it's funny. We'll get to that, but I actually called it in real time as we were talking about it.
That you did.
Like I called it here, but it was like as it became more of a reality, I called it in real time. Those are actually really good questions because now when you look at it, when you look at it from the Rock standpoint on the business side, like you said, it's becoming more than a wrestling business. It's actually becoming a family business, because now that you see that your daughter is becoming this GM in NXT, even though it is a character,
You know what I'm saying?
there's still shades of something that can be there, because no disrespect for her whatsoever. What I'm about to say, wrestling just didn't pan out for her, but this particular role is panning out for her. Whether it is an on-screen character that can relate to an actual, reality thing that does happen, so for his daughter to step into that role. I know he worked a lot with his ex-wife on the UFL. There's a lot of things that come into factor where this is no longer a quote unquote wrestling business. It's more so becoming a family business. And as we both know, family, we don't got to be blood to be family. So it's becoming more of a family business. Triple H and Stephanie have their fronts. The Rock has his fronts. So it's becoming more so of a family thing more than a wrestling business where it's corporate. It's like, okay, you run this, I run this, we run this, and we all bump heads. Where it's more so, we can go to dinner, talk over dinner about what happened and how we're going to go forward with this. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened last night.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. That's exactly how it went last night. And I'm like, for me, man, the fan of me, man, I'm just happy to see like the way like it all came together last night, especially from how Jade came out, did her thing, and and seeing how like from how it started to how it ended, like it was. It's been a long time since WWE has clicked on all cylinders when it came to a PLE, where it's like, okay, there's drama, there's stories, because usually the pay-per-views usually to set something up, or just like, or it was like, all right, they kind of messed up on the delivery. Last night, they definitely helped out the delivery for sure.
No, the timing was perfect on everything.
What question would I ask Triple H? Why you bald?
Why did he trick us? No. Okay, so why did he trick us into thinking he had hair? That's the real question. No, all of it. But no, I think those are the two most important questions, because I see that, especially now with the PLEs are growing where they're traveling outside of the US more for the PLEs. And now they're starting to make a weekend event. Like they just announced the whole weekend with the UFC with Perth. That's going to be another thing. So it's like, do we get more weekends like that? Do we get mega weekends where it's like WWE and UFC in the same day or the same weekend? Are we going to get more of those kind of ordeals? So I'm excited.
That's money for them, man. I ain't gonna hold you. That's
definitely.
That's big paydays for both.
I think. Another question before we move on. Another question I just thought of too, which I think is in the back of everybody's mind. Are we going to see a WWE TNA crossover pay-per-view?
That should definitely happen.
Are we? Because I know everybody kind of wants like a Worlds Collide. Is that something about? Are we going to get months worth of Afternoon Raw this month? Who knows? That's a good question.
That's a good question, but I do know tomorrow is going to be one of the more like.
Tomorrow's going to be very important.
Expected Raws that everybody's going to watch.
This whole week is going to be very important, and that's another thing too. Everybody who criticized SmackDown, y'all criticized SmackDown and said SmackDown was getting weak. It didn't have any storylines going on. It was boring. It was stale. I've seen, it's not everybody, but I've seen people talk about trying to downplay SmackDown, and Raw was more of the A show. And then people saying, oh, the build up to Mania is mid this year, blah, blah, blah. You need to apologize. You need to apologize right now. Right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
But let's get into
pretty much, man. Is what he said. He said Roadblock is basically what Worlds Collide is going to be. We're getting some good matches.
Well, I not so much. Okay, so I think I'm looking for more of
You mean the main
main
roster?
roster more than I'm looking for NXT. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at NXT for doing their thing, but I'm more so that's more so what I'm looking for. I'm more so
Well,
looking
I think
for
I think I think I think them doing Roadblock is probably going to be like a litmus test to see like, okay, like if you want to do the main roster, like who exactly will we put? Just
that's
keep
fair.
just keep Muth away from my fucking roster. That's all I want to say.
Oh
Just keep that nigga away from my
actually,
roster.
no. Put him on the main roster so Roman can beat the shit out of him.
Nah, fuck that. Let Jacob dog walk his a bitch ass. How about that? Like,
I'd appreciate it either way.
what's good, Devin?
What's
What's
good,
good,
Devin?
man? Crazy night last night, bro. Crazy night, man. And well, hold on, another comment. He says, I think the main roster versus TNA is a long ways away. I think NXT feels like the equivalent. I think for now, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying right now.
for
This is why I'm
now, yeah,
saying, like,
it does. It does.
NXT is gonna be the litmus test to see how successful it could be before who they can think are main roster guys that can go compete. But I think it's more so on the women's side. I think anyone on the knockout side are more ready to probably mix with the main roster women than the main roster guys on TNA, unless if it's like Ziggler coming back, type stuff. I don't see anybody else maybe Santana, maybe, but I
Listen,
just still feel they're more NXT.
I'm okay with the slow burn and the build
Yeah,
up. I'm a patient man, unlike a lot of people.
nah, this wrestling generation is like they just want it now. Like, nah,
Right.
it don't work that way. He said Roadblock is going to be the best NXT PLE ever. We'll see, man. Because listen, man, for us who've been watching since Black and Gold, there've been some good PLEs for NXT. I
Absolutely.
just want to see Tessa versus. All right, now I'm just gonna go to the next questions. I ain't trying to talk about the
I like
crimson
that.
shit,
I like that
nigga shit.
because yeah, Charlotte need to beat that ass.
Yeah, like that's the only way Charlotte would be an undisputed babyface. Like that's the only way like she'll be the undisputed babyface.